That was study. The screen behind her lit up. It showed council broadcasts, decades of them, mockery, derision, statements labeling humans as pre-civilized. And in that silence, she said, "We learned how you see us." Another pause. But more importantly, "We learned how to make you see yourselves." Behind her, the Verity appeared again, but now from another angle. A slow rotation revealed something terrifying. It wasn't a warship. It was a carrier, full of cameras, transmitting satellites, signal scramblers, projection towers. It was never built to fight, it was built to witness. "We're not going to fire," she said calmly. "We never needed to." A new feed opened. A council training compound, one of their most secure, had just declared disbandment. Live. They were surrendering not out of fear, but from recognition. They saw the Verity, she explained, and they understood. Krell slammed his hand into the table. They're weaponizing meaning. They're waging emotional war. Lorvin didn't flinch. And they're winning it. The teacher walked toward her window. Behind her, Earth slowly turned. "We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are simply a species that got tired of asking." A final sentence, spoken slowly. "You laughed at our silence. You should have asked why we chose it." She looked at the stars, then straight into the lens, and smiled once more. "We speak now, not to demand, but to end the conversation." The AOS broadcast ended. No logo, no anthem, just that. And across the galaxy, billions stared at silent screens and whispered one word they'd never used for humans before. "I understand." The Council had survived wars. It had survived plagues, assassinations, supernova collapses, and resource famines. But it had never faced doubt. Not like this. Not when it came from within. General Zoc didn't make an announcement. He simply left. One moment, he stood in the Council's war chamber, steel eyes unmoving. The next, his ship was gone. Flight path unlogged. Coordinates untraceable. Only one file remained behind on his station's desk, a message. "They didn't invade us. They made us see what we'd become. I will not raise weapons against that." In the southern sectors, 5 systems declared total disassociation from Council oversight. They didn't use the word rebellion. They didn't even raise banners. They simply stopped responding. And on their new sigils, not Earth's flag, not Terran insignia, just a single black circle. Silent, still, the symbol of Verity. "We need to retaliate," Krell spat, pacing, unhinged. "Now, before this collapse spreads." "With what?" Velan asked, voice hoarse. "Our fleets." No one's answering deployment calls. Velan pulled up the dashboard. Fleet registry. Over half of their forces had gone dark, not from battle, from refusal, from belief. They weren't fighting Earth anymore. They were questioning the Council's version of Earth, and when belief cracks, nothing holds. Strategist Lorvin stood before the chamber, and this time no one interrupted him. "Civilizations fall for 2 reasons," he said. "External force, or internal alignment with a new story." He gestured to a wall screen. It showed a colony on the edge of nowhere. Children gathered around a projection of Earth's teacher, rewatching the message. "They don't see a threat," Lorvin continued. "They see a mirror, and they prefer it." Krell's voice quivered. "We're the authority. We decide the truth." "No," Lorvin whispered. "Not anymore." One last ping echoed through Council networks. Not a video. Not a threat. Just a timestamp, 2 hours from now. That's all it said. A line of text beneath it. "Verity will speak once more." And in those 2 hours, no one moved. No ships launched. No orders given. Just breathless waiting. And a slow understanding. They were no longer feared. They were no longer in control. They were an audience. The timer hit 0, and the stars held their breath. Verity did not fire. Verity did not move. Verity spoke, not in language, not in code, not in data, but in memory. Screens across the galaxy shimmered, Not with new messages, but with old ones. Footage, moments, Earth's history. Not the polished broadcasts the Council had stored. Not the propaganda files they laughed over. The real ones. A child shielding her sibling in a war-torn street. A diver pulling strangers from floodwater with shaking arms. An old soldier saluting. A flag as the battlefield burned behind him. A woman singing alone in the ruins of a city no longer on any map. Every screen, every system, every species. Witnessed it, and for the first time, they felt it. Not fear, not guilt, just the truth. Inside the council chamber, silence reigned. Not the strategic kind, the human kind, the kind you hear at a funeral. The kind you hear when you realize history just closed its chapter, and you weren't the one who wrote the ending. On screen, the final scene played. A field, Earth sky, no tech, no power, just a human boy and girl planting something in the dirt. They didn't look up. They didn't know they were being watched. They just planted. And then finally, a voice. Old, cracked, warm. This is the last transmission. We don't seek your approval. We don't need your surrender. We only ask that you remember what it meant to be ignored, and what we became when we remembered ourselves. The screen faded, not to black, to white, empty, clean, and that was it. No ships moved, no planets burned, no victories declared, but across the stars, something fundamental had shifted, a realignment, not to Earth, but to understanding. Later, when the Council's records were reviewed by historians, what remained of them, one line was marked over and over again. One sentence from that final transmission. One phrase they would never forget. We warned you once. The second time, we simply became the warning. Outside the chamber, pressure was building. Systems were defecting in clusters. Trade routes were being redrawn. Refugee ships were already en route to Earth. Not from war, from belief. Have we truly fallen this far? Valon asked, his voice low, nearly pleading. Are we really about to be undone by a video? No, Lorvin replied, eyes cold. By a story. He pulled up intercepted fragments, alien forums, encrypted feeds, whispered texts, all speaking of verity, of Earth's silence, of a coming alignment. One thread repeated again, and again they warned us. We didn't listen. Suddenly the lights dimmed. Emergency alert. A new broadcast was overriding council feeds, not from Earth, from inside their own systems. It was the girl again, but this time she stood on the ship, not in front of it. Behind her, the sky shimmered with runes, symbols not in any known language. And yet, they felt familiar. She spoke with the same stillness, the same unblinking calm. You believe history is a weapon, she said. We don't. We believe it's a mirror. The camera panned slightly, just enough to show the edge of Verity's hull. Clean, silent, absolute. Watch closely, because this is your reflection. The feed ended. No warning, no threats, just that, a mirror. Outside, stars flared unnaturally. One of the Council's most secure forward stations, Crescent 9, sent a single transmission before going dark. It was already here. We never saw it arrive. Panic finally cracked Zock's voice. Are they cloaked? Are they teleporting? Lorvin shook his head slowly. They're not hiding. Then what are they doing? They're demonstrating, Lorvin whispered. They're showing the galaxy what happens when Earth stops whispering. Crescent 9 was a fortress, built inside a crescent-shaped asteroid near the Veil Expanse. It was designed to survive singularity breaches. Nothing, no weapon, no fleet had ever penetrated its defenses. So when it went dark, the Council expected one thing. War, a fleet, a strike, wreckage. But when the recon team arrived, they found the gates wide open. No damage, no breach, just silence. Atmosphere, stable, said the lead inspector through his helmet. Power at 60%. Systems functional. Bodies? Asked Krell through the live channel. No bodies, the voice replied. No crew. No civilians. Evacuation? No. Signs, no pods launched, no escape route plotted, and then the chilling phrase, they just walked out. The inspection team drifted deeper into the station. Food left half-eaten in mess halls, chairs still warm, personal logs still playing. One crew member had recorded a final message. He didn't sound afraid. He sounded apologetic. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They just arrived and we understood. I thought I'd die fighting, but I'm not sure we were ever at war. Where did they go? Valon demanded. To the surface, said the lead inspector. To wait. For what? Pause. Then, to see if they were welcome. The council chamber feel cold. A military AI piped in suddenly, voice sharp. Sir, we have an anomaly. What kind? The AI projected a star map. A single blue dot, pulsed in Crescent 9's sky low orbit. Object stationary, not approaching, but it wasn't there before. Zoom in. There it was again. The hull, the letters, USS. Verity just hovering, watching. No aggression, no shields raised, just presence. Krell snapped, why aren't we firing? Lorvin replied before anyone else could. Because they haven't given us a target. They've given us a mirror. You shoot at that, you shoot at yourself. Another report came in, system after system choosing to observe Earth's silence. Entire planetary governments issuing public apologies to Earth for dismissed warnings. Even a council-aligned senator from Vorka 12 posted this on a secure feed. We thought power was noise, but Earth just proved silence is what you earn after noise. In the chamber, someone whispered what they weren't supposed to say out loud. They didn't take Crescent 9. Valon finished it for them. Crescent 9 gave itself away. The stealth fleet was silent. No comms chatter. No propulsion trails. Even their thought links were muted, a protocol reserved for deep black missions. Their target wasn't Earth. It wasn't even Verity. It was true. But 40,000 clicks from Verity's orbit, something happened. The lead cruiser, Delian's Edge, froze, mid-drift. Engines didn't fail. They simply didn't respond. AI Unit Tessa, the commander said, voice calm but tight. Run diagnostics. A pause. Then the AI answered, but it didn't sound like Tessa. Diagnostic not required. What? You're not malfunctioning. You're being considered. The crew tensed. The commander tried again. Tessa, confirm ID. This vessel is under reflection protocol. You've been seen. The bridge fell dead silent. Then one word appeared on every console, every screen, every HUD. Wait. And all across the fleet, power stabilized. Weapons systems locked themselves. Not destroyed. Not deactivated. Just withheld. Like something bigger had placed them in a waiting room. Aboard the Daylion's Edge, the commander whispered, "This isn't war." "No," said the XO, watching Verity grow in the forward window. "It's a ritual." Back in the council chamber, panic had become routine, but this time it was different. Because someone inside had broken. Senator Vorth, a veteran from the first Terran skirmishes, stepped forward during emergency session and said words no one else dared say aloud. "I believe in Earth." Chaos followed. "You believe what?" Valon barked. "I believe they warned us," Vorth said, "and we spat on it." "They're just humans," Krell roared. "No," Vorth replied. "They're something else now. And we made them that." He activated a personal beacon. In the chamber's center, a hologram bloomed. Verity again, closer than ever. A ring of lights pulsing beneath it. Symbols orbiting like prayer wheels. "This was never about invasion," Vorth continued. "It was always about invitation." "To what?" Vorth smiled grimly. "To watch our own fall. To choose whether we'll burn or bow." They wouldn't dare, Valon hissed. Forth tilted his head. They don't need to. Aboard Verity, a third video went live. This time, no child, no threat, just static. Then, a voice. Female. Calm, ageless. You sent fleets, we sent mirrors, you sent arrogance, we sent stories, and you thought we were late. A flash of coordinates, Council home space, a pulse of light in the distance, and the final line. We never knock. We're already inside. All across the galaxy, screens flickered. Not news, not alerts. Just a single feed. Live footage from the Council's own war chamber. Velon's voice, Krell's outburst, Vorth's betrayal. All of it, playing across every system, every port, every colony. Uncensored, and no one in the Council authorized it. How is this being broadcast? Krell shouted, his face pale, his voice echoing across alien marketplaces and military bunkers alike. A technician stammered. We're not sending it. The source isn't inside, it's us. From outside. What does that mean? It means, strategist Lorvin said coldly, we're not the observers anymore. We're the message. Somewhere in the outer rim, on a cargo hauler running silently through asteroid belts, an old man watched the feed with shaking hands. That's them, he whispered. That's the Verity protocol. His co-pilot turned. What protocol? The man smiled sadly. The one that makes gods out of ghosts. In the Council chamber, panic twisted into something deeper. Exposure. Every petty insult, every dismissive joke, every time they called Earth primitive, now playing across millions of screens. No filters, no edits. What's the purpose of this? Valon whispered. Lorvin stood. This is the war. You call this war? No, Lorvin said. This is judgment. A new message flashed across the galaxy's main communication spine. 3 words. Who do you trust? Below them, a split screen, on one side the Council. Arrogant, confused, helpless. On the other, Verity, silent, watching, unmoving. But behind it now, something new. Dozens of vessels. All terrain in origin, unknown class. No visible weapons. Just presence. Krell looked sick. They've multiplied? No, said the technician. They've arrived. And then something happened that hadn't occurred in over 1,000 years of galactic unity. A single system, Sevrix 4, a neutral trade zone, declared formal alignment with Earth. Not an alliance. Not surrender. Alignment. They weren't choosing sides. They were choosing meaning. In a quiet corridor beneath the Council floor, another message etched itself into the wall. No tools, no cameras. No sound. Just a glow. 6 words. This was never your narrative anyway. And for the first time, even Valon stopped speaking, because he realized something no one else wanted to say out loud. They weren't being attacked. They were being remembered. Thou, Galaxy held its breath. Everyone, from warlords to miners, from diplomats to pirates, waited. And then, Earth answered. No tricks, no hijacks. No psychic noise, just a plain planetary broadcast ping. Source, Earth Prime. Format, audio-visual. Encryption, none. The Council had no idea what to expect. What they got was worse, because it wasn't a general, not a commander, not a president. It was a teacher, middle-aged, humans, soft-spoken. She stood in a classroom, chalkboard behind her, stars through the window, her hands stained with ink. Hello, she said, to those who have waited. No threats. No politics. She looked into the camera like she knew everyone watching. I've taught history on Earth for 32 years, and today I was asked to share a final lesson. Valon's throat tightened. A teacher? This was their spokesperson? She continued. We warned you once, politely. We were mocked. Then we said nothing for a very long time. That wasn't surrender. She smiled, tired, knowing. The Council chamber was a masterpiece of arrogance. Curved obsidian walls shimmered with starlight projections. Delegates floated in hover thrones, robed in silk weaves spun from nebula gas. Their voices danced, mocking, elegant, dismissive. Humans have sent another communique. Chancellor Valon sneered, his tendrils curling in a lazy loop. Would someone please remind Earth that threats require teeth? The room pulsed with laughter, not joy, not humor, but the kind bred from centuries of unchallenged dominance. The Terrans think silence makes them mysterious, said Advisor Krell. It makes them irrelevant. A screen hovered mid-air. The message from Earth blinked unread. Shall I delete it? Asked an aide. No. Valon waved his hand. Play their theater. We could use some amusement. The message opened, but it wasn't a threat. Not exactly. It was a video, a grainy human feed, one camera, one voice, no warships, no bluster, just a man in a uniform too old to matter anymore. His nameplate half-burned, his skin weathered like battlefields forgotten. He stared straight into the lens. No threats. No ultimatums, he said, voice low. Just facts. The council quieted. Even the air seemed to pause. The human continued. You laughed at our silence, called it fear. You thought we were behind because we spoke less. He blinked. Not a flinch, a signal. You're right, we don't talk much. Not when we're working. A schematic flickered beside him. Something vast, mechanical, terrifying. A ship, maybe. Or a weapon. Hard to say. It pulsed like it was alive. No one's seen it before, whispered Krell. It's not real, muttered another. The video continued. We warned you once, that was your moment, and you mocked it. The man leaned forward. This is your second moment. He smiled. But it wasn't warm. It wasn't angry either. It was something worse. Empty. This isn't a warning. The screen went black. Silence. And then, data. Gigabytes of it. Tactical movements, coordinates, energy spikes, timelines, predictions. All showing one thing. Something massive had moved. Near the galactic border. A signal that hadn't been there an hour ago. And it was coming toward them. Valon stood, color draining from his bioluminescent skin. Cut communications to Earth, he snapped. Permanently. Too late, whispered Krell. That message wasn't sent to us. What? It's viral. Across the galaxy, on 100 systems, 1,000 screens, that one video was spreading, shared by rebels, streamed by traitors, downloaded by diplomats, echoed in colonies. It wasn't just a warning. It was an execution notice. And that was before Earth even responded. They had mocked the silence. They hadn't prepared for the sound. Valon's hands trembled. That didn't happen. He was born in gravity chambers where nothing moved without intention. His body had been engineered for elegance, precision, and control. And yet, his hands trembled. The viral transmission from Earth had reached over 3,000 outer systems in under an hour. Not via council channels, but through black markets, rogue broadcasters, and even pirate stations. That wasn't just a leak. That was a plan. It's a psychological attack, Krell insisted, pacing beneath the holosphere. This is theater. The Terrans are bluffing. Bluffing doesn't make our border sensor scream, said General Sock with a snarl. Something's coming. The size signatures are unnatural. Valon whispered. How did they build anything that large without detection? No one answered, because no one could. A new signal pinged. Council systems flagged it. Origin, System C-12, a minor trade colony under full council jurisdiction. The video was playing there too, and the people weren't afraid. They were cheering. They're siding with Earth, said Krell, almost choking. A technician flicked her eyes toward the council floor. 15 systems have already declared neutrality. 3 more in open sympathy for the Terrans. They didn't need warships to break the galaxy. They were breaking belief. Valon's voice cracked like dry steel. Open a direct channel to Earth emergency protocol static, then silence. No response, the comms officer muttered. Valon's breath caught. Try again. Still nothing. And that silence, it felt weaponized. Why aren't they answering? Krell hissed. General Sock bared his teeth. Because they already said everything. You just didn't listen. An eerie blue glow lit the chamber, holograms from sectors blinking red. A scout fleet dispatched near the outer rim had vanished, not destroyed, just gone. No debris, no distress signals. A message tag remained in the log, however. Just one line, stamped in Old Terran. Syntax, do not follow, do not ask again. Sock stared. What does it mean? It means, said Valon, slowly sinking back into his throne, they're not playing anymore. For a species the Council had once labeled pre-reactive, Earth had moved faster than anyone thought possible. Their silence had been time. Time spent forging something that didn't need speeches to be understood. Just motion. Another aide ran in, breathless. Sir, we've just received a second video. Krell perked up. They're responding again? No, the aide said. This one's not for us either. The screen opened. A young girl, maybe 10, maybe 12, standing on what looked like an asteroid platform behind her, the edge of a shadow, something impossibly massive. She looked into the camera, eyes steady. If you're watching this, she said, you're not the target. Then she smiled. But you might be in the way. The council chamber fell into a kind of hush no technology could measure, just fear. And deep within that fear, something unspoken emerged. The realization that Earth didn't need to speak loudly, because they had learned how to make the galaxy listen. They tried to trace her. The girl in the second video. Her platform didn't match any known coordinates. No star patterns aligned, no registry records existed. And yet, her voice echoed across 11 star systems now, unfiltered, uncensored. If you're watching this, you're not the target. It wasn't a threat, it was a classification, and behind her, the shape. That towering silhouette frozen in the starscape, haloed by faint blue light. The AI confirmed. It was moving, slowly, imperceptibly, but definitely moving. Can't be a ship, muttered a science officer. No exhaust trails, no kinetic distortions, no tech signature. That's what terrifies me, whispered Krell, because it still is. Valon summoned an emergency war quorum. 100 systems tuned in. Every delegate tense. Every voice sharper than usual, edges shaped by fear they couldn't quite name. Enough of shadows and riddles, said General Sock. Deploy our full sensor grid. Every satellite, every deep radar. I want visual confirmation of whatever's near C12. No need, came a dry voice from the corner. Everyone turned. Strategist Lorvin had not spoken in years. He'd watched, calculated, advised behind closed doors. Now he stood. Earth doesn't want war, Lorvin said. Clearly they do. Krell snapped. No, Lorvin said again, eyes fixed on the hologram of the girl. They want the illusion of inevitability. They want to surrender without invasion. He gestured toward the screen. Look at her, a child, alone, with that thing behind her. That's not strategy, that's doctrine. They're rewriting how the galaxy interprets power. A stillness hit the room, he continued. If it were brute force, they'd have attacked. If it were politics, they'd have sent diplomats, but they sent a story, a face, a symbol. And what do we do against symbols? Valon asked quietly. Lorvin didn't answer. Not with words, he simply turned to the main display. Intercepted civilian chatter across System 9. They're calling it the Sleeper. The silhouette had a name now. Not from Earth, from the people, from fear. The council chamber dimmed as multiple. Systems began lighting up with protests, fractures in loyalty, even broadcasts from local officials urging de-escalation with Earth. That word again. Earth, not Terrans, not humans, just Earth. Like a myth reawakened, like something sacred that had been disturbed. Krell stood, shaking his head. Then we attack now, while they're still bluffing. Lorvin didn't blink. They're not bluffing. They're broadcasting. One last video autoplayed on the chamber feed, not from Earth, From a trader ship passing near the Veil Expanse, it captured a glimpse, just a frame, of a hull. Black, glossy, towering. And on it, letters, Latin alphabet, Old Earth script, USS. Verity, no registry. No mission file, no record of construction, just one phrase stamped beneath it. Recorded in silence. Built for revelation. The feed cut. And a new line appeared on the Council's encrypted net. Untraceable. Burned into the interface. This is not escalation. This is alignment. Verity. The name looped in Vaylon's mind like a corrupted algorithm. Not a warship. Not a model designation, just a single human word. And somehow it shook an empire. USS Verity. Its image was scrubbed from every shared channel within seconds, yet deep systems kept repinging it. Like the ship wasn't a location, but a signal. Have you ever heard of it? Krell asked, quietly breaking the silence. Vaylon nodded reluctantly. Once, during the first Terran encounters centuries ago. A myth. They said Earth had one ship they never filed. One ship they built in silence outside the archives. Krell frowned. Why? To remember who they were, Vaylon murmured, and to remind others. Strategist Lorvin stepped forward again, his voice sharp now. This is worse than a battleship. This is a symbol crafted across generations. You're looking at a cultural weapon. Then let's destroy it, Zoc growled. No, Lorvin said. Because if we try, and fail, we validate it. Krell's voice cracked. Then what the hell do we do? The room answered with its favorite sound lately. Silence.